Whales spinning through the ocean with their mouths wide open, a mysterious fungus never before seen in the UK, and scientists moving one step closer to regrowing human limbs? This is the natural world, stranger, smarter, and more connected than we ever imagined. I'm Ben Anderson. Welcome to Wild Earth News. Okay, starting with a great one from one of my favourite species. Off the coast of Western Australia, humpback whales have been filmed doing something very strange, spinning slowly through the water with their jaws hanging wide open. But they're not feeding. Researchers are calling this behaviour gaping, and despite whales being some of the most studied animals on Earth, nobody is entirely sure why they're doing it. What makes the discovery especially interesting is that much of the footage came from the public, highlighting the growing importance of citizen science. We spoke to whale scientist Dr. Vanessa Pirotta.
Just when we think we know something about humpback whales, they do something different. And the humpback whales that we're seeing here in Australia, as well as the Kingdom of Tonga and Hawaiian waters, these whales are doing really interesting behaviours. Some might think that they've been doing this for a while. Maybe they have, but what we've been seeing that has been caught via social media is unique. And I have Winston here, which is my humpback whale. So imagine if you're whale watching and you're seeing a whale in front of your boat, and then all of a sudden it comes up to you, Ben, and it just opens its mouth. It's not feeding. In one example, you've got this whale that just comes up on the Western Australian coast with its mouth open and then just pirouetting, going around in circles with its mouth wide open. Why? We don't know.
And what are you guys potentially thinking could be some of the answers to the questions about what these guys are doing?
I guess some of the things we're thinking is because it's unrelated to feeding, and we've got a lot of evidence to support that it's not. These animals might be doing this for communication purposes, so maybe a visual display. Sometimes whales will be showing a lot of interest towards vessels and people watching, especially when they come and do a spy hop where they bring their mouth and their eye around. But generally their jaw is like this. And then there's the other examples of when we've then seen whales opening and shutting their mouths, generally with the calves. We think that that's probably jaw stretching around pre and post suckling. And then the other thing could be sometimes when we see the whales come up for a chin slap, again, Winston provides this. And then as they come down, there's that natural separation of the mandible or the jaw that you might see. So it's a variety of things.
With the availability of good phones, good cameras all over the planet now, we are capturing more and more unique or rare behavior from almost every species on Earth. How exciting is that for you as a scientist to be able to gather and capture and gather all this information, all this video footage?
People now having access to relatively good cameras, and I mean, it isn't exceptional what we can capture on a phone, means that people will be sharing what they see. And then that coupled with social media, everyone wants to get likes. And so be able to share, it's the difference between knowing about a species that we think occurs in Australian waters year round, but just didn't have the information to know that, which now we do. And also these kind of behaviors that we may be seeing more often because for some reason these whales are doing it and we just don't know.
Is this play, communication, social bonding, or something we haven't even considered yet? For animals this enormous, there's still so much we don't understand. I love that. Scientists at the Natural History Museum, those clever little rascals, have named a newly discovered species of parasitic wasp after Sir David Attenborough. What a birthday treat. And yes, it's absolutely tiny, just 3.5 millimeters long. The species, named, bear with me, Attenborunculus tau, was actually collected in Chile back in 1983. But sat unnoticed in a museum drawer for decades before finally being identified. Scientists say the discovery highlights something remarkable. There may be thousands of undiscovered species hiding in museum collections around the world. And this isn't the first species to be named after Attenborough either. Everything from dinosaurs and insects to plants and even fossilised fish now carry his name. What we don't know is how many undiscovered species might still be sitting unnoticed in collections around the world. Sometimes discovery isn't about finding something new, it's about finally noticing what was already there.
Don't panic.
Up next, an amazing parrot is making a return. For the first time in 200 years, one of my favourite birds, the red macaw, and its green cousin, is breeding again in Brazil's Atlantic forest. These spectacular parrots once thrived across the Brazilian coast, before deforestation and the illegal pet trade wiped them out across the region. Now, after years of conservation work, captive birds have been rehabilitated and released back into the protected forest. Some of these birds have spent more than 25 years in captivity, and now they're flying wild again. Conservationists are calling this project deeply emotional and proof that species recovery is possible when habitats are restored and long-term protection is prioritised. What we don't know is whether these populations can sustain themselves long-term, but for now, it's a rare and hopeful conservation success story. Awesome work.
Can I touch it? No, do not touch it, Megan.
If you like the gross and weird, this one's for you. A strange organism that looks a bit like a blue tongue has been discovered in a woodland in West Sussex, and it's never been seen before in the UK. The species, known as the blue-based earth tongue fungus, is so rare that it's only the second time it has ever been recorded anywhere in Europe. That's awesome. Scientists confirmed the find using DNA sequencing, and they say its presence is actually a really important sign, because fungi like this only survive in ancient, undisturbed habitats with healthy soils. In other words, finding this fungus suggests the ecosystem around it is still functioning incredibly well. Fungi like this are amazing biological indicators, and I love that some of the most important species on Earth are also the easiest to overlook. Very, very cool.
Look at him. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Go on, do whatever you want to do. Look at him. Oh my God, he just got right in that car. Don't move, honey. Oh, look at him.
That's why I'm doing it.
Holy crap. Hi, cutie.
Now this is some incredible science. Scientists say they may have discovered one of the key genetic pathways involved in limb regeneration. Or, to put it another way, the possibility, I say loosely at the moment, of one day regrowing human limbs. Researchers studying axolotls, zebrafish and mice identified a group of genes linked to tissue regeneration. When those genes were disabled, regeneration stopped. And when researchers used gene therapy inspired by zebrafish biology, they were able to partially restore regeneration in mice. Now, we are obviously a very long way away from humans regrowing arms and legs, but scientists say that this is one of the biggest steps yet towards understanding how regeneration actually works. We spoke to Dr. David A. Brown from Duke University.
People wonder all the time about evolutionarily why this arose, and particularly like did salamanders gain this ability through evolution, or did people lose it? Like mammals lose it, and that's hotly debated in itself. Maybe for whatever reasons, the axolotl salamander, pre-metamorphic frogs, there's a lot of sea-dwelling species. Octopus can regenerate their limbs as well. Whether they gained that ability, as some really advanced injury response, and mammals used to have it, or the predecessor to mammals used to have it and we lost it, or whether the opposite was true. One thing that we also know is that mammals and humans just make scar, and that's sort of the terrestrial response to injury, is that you get injured and your body just turns on the scar, because that's the best thing that it can do to ward off infection and heal the wound. Whereas in more like amphibious and aquatic environments, it seems like the default response is more like to regenerate tissue.
I'm afraid you've just ruined my day because I'm now going to think about, is it something we've lost? I've never thought of it that way around.
Digit tip regeneration, one of the few examples of complex tissue regeneration in mammals. And nearly, I think all mammals studied have the ability to do this. And so if they get an amputation, even human children, if you get an amputation, God forbid, that involves the nail bed, and it has to involve the nail bed, then that fingertip will regrow. And it regrows with bone extension. It doesn't require a structural scaffold like a fracture. It heals mostly without scar, so there's scarless healing involved. All the nerves come back. And so it's this, whether that's a lingering evolutionary remnant of true limb regeneration, or whether it's just some weird quirk of skeletal physiology in mammals, we don't know. You can't really study it by cutting off people's fingers and watching it grow back, but I suspect that it's a more robust phenomenon in children than it is adults.
What we don't know is whether these discoveries could ever translate safely into human medicine. But for scientists working in regenerative biology, this is one very big step. That's not an easy thing to say. Now to a species many people still find surprising to see in Britain: white storks. Once native to the UK, they disappeared centuries ago, driven out by hunting and habitat loss. But now researchers at Harper University are looking into whether these huge birds could one day return at scale. Conservationists say species reintroductions like this could play an important role in restoring damaged ecosystems and reconnecting people with wildlife that once thrived here. We spoke to Dr. Ellen Williams and Dr. John Reed from Harper University about ongoing research into reintroducing breeding populations across suitable habitats in the UK.
The white stork's an iconic species. Seeing white stork is amazing. Seeing them fly is even more amazing, I think. They are incredible for their size. And, culturally, storks, when I tell people that we're working on storks, most people say, hey, is that they're the ones that bring babies? And that's what we've grown up with, isn't it? Is that idea? So it is an iconic species, and yet you look where they are now. Lots, Spain and Poland are two real sort of major areas. Ukraine, Belarus. That's where we tend to find these species. I think land management and probably persecution has meant that we've lost them in various areas, and we're looking to reverse that, aren't we?
Sophie Rabone is one of our PhD students. Sophie came to us with this PhD idea that she wanted to look at white stork reintroduction, and she wanted to specifically look at how aspects of animal personality and individuality affects the success of that reintroduction. Stork as a whole, I think, are very important in terms of the landscape, and Sophie's already talked a lot about how much they can kind of do in terms of them being a bit of an umbrella species. So if we're protecting them, we're protecting others. But also there are species that we hope the public will be excited by and want to see back. So we'll kind of give support for, and then the types of environments that are going to be then good for stork are going to be good for other species as well. And then this particular work is looking at how likely they are to kind of be successful in terms of reintroduction. And so she's doing some sort of behavioural experiments looking at cognitive abilities and how that's affected in terms of problem solving abilities and things like that.
What is the sort of future steps that we're going to take with these birds to make sure they have a super successful reintroduction and recolonisation of the UK?
Part of the success will be related to land management. It has to be related to land management, because reintroducing any species is only going to work if we're reintroducing it into a ecosystem which it can fit into.
You have to get the community on board, because if you've got community persecution happening, that's not going to help anything. And if you've got them on board, then you've got people that are not only like looking after these species, but then also, especially, so if you think of the land management, people actively managing their land to help them as well.
After centuries away, the storks may finally be coming home. And finally, and on a more serious note, police in France have issued a warning to drivers about drunk deer. Yes, really. In the Burgundy region, where else, a roe deer was filmed stumbling in circles, collapsing and behaving erratically after apparently eating fermented fruit fallen on the floor. Authorities say it's actually a seasonal phenomenon, As fruit and vegetation begin to rot and ferment, natural alcohol is produced, and some animals end up taking it a step too far, overindulging and becoming accidentally intoxicated. We've all heard or used that excuse before. Police warned that deer under the influence can become highly unpredictable, suddenly running into roads, freezing in headlights, or moving in completely erratic ways. And whilst the footage is admittedly quite funny, it's also a genuine danger to both animals and drivers. Apparently, even in rural France, Bambi can stumble home from the pub. What an incredible fortnight, from spinning whales to hidden fungi and the possibility of regrowing limbs. Nature continues to surprise us, and science continues to reveal just how much we still have left to learn. Subscribe below for your regular wildlife briefing, and please keep an eye out for new videos in the coming weeks. I'm Ben Anderson, and remember, a wildlife is out there, go get it.